Hello everyone, friends. Well, here we go, a fresh Bitcoin review. Yesterday, we observed a small, you could say, alt season, if in fact that word is not illegal in the current market, in the current cycle. But nevertheless, in reality, yesterday locally, alts shot up. Bitcoin made some kind of attempt to break through to the mark of $85,000. Now we've rolled back to the 82 zone again, so a short update. Let's see what has changed and in fact whether it's possible to potentially build positions from the current levels. Let's move on to the charts. Be sure to give this video a like. I also strongly recommend subscribing to my Telegram channel so you don't miss any updates. Be sure to check it out and subscribe. The link is right below the video. My Telegram channel is Falcon Investors. So let's get down to business. The first thing to note is that despite Bitcoin making some attempts at rebounds and other movements, there is still fear in the market. Moreover, from the perspective of, what is the market about? It's psychology and the movement of liquidity. Yes, the money supply. Right now, what I can for myself, at least I notice that even the biggest whales, but even the most steadfast holders of their altcoins, which are gradually starting to try to exit them. Some at break even, some at a loss, but essentially, for what reason? The reason is as follows. First, many are preparing for the possibility that essentially Bitcoin might fall further. And if altcoins have already dropped so significantly, there is a potential chance that altcoins will fall even more. The second point, there is, as I understand it, a bet. And essentially, I also assume, as I mentioned in previous reviews, that even if Bitcoin continues its upward movement, there is a chance that altcoins will not rise to the levels they were at a few months ago, for example, in November, when essentially altcoins were reaching their all-time highs. Not all, but nevertheless. And that's acceptable. And so this is how I am thinking. So psychologically, look, we have fear in the market. Many are starting to close their positions at a loss. So what is missing? We are missing some powerful wave of an even stronger dip to shake out even more from the altcoins, to shake out from everywhere. And after that, the market can calmly grow. That is, some will already jump into shorts, and we will have liquidity that can in fact be liquidated. And these are just reflections from the perspective of basic psychology. Therefore, from a psychological standpoint, a dip lower somewhere into the range that I have already pointed out many times, and which in fact is very, let's say, desirable, at least until we reach it. It is desirable. This is the 63 to 73 zone. It fits well. So now let's look at a few moments. Yesterday, our Bitcoin tried to grow, attempted to make efforts. At the moment when Bitcoin was around 84.5, 85, our altcoins actually shot up. But what I want to draw your attention to is what we discussed yesterday. Now, once again, pay attention from above. We have a large trading zone of resistance. Secondly, for those who like trend lines, conditionally, please take a look. I won't be too precise. You'll understand, and you can make it more accurate. Nevertheless, we have a trend line that we tried to break yesterday and, accordingly, did not break. To proceed. Moreover, let's return to the daily time frame and see that we are trading clearly below the 200-day moving average. Accordingly, for me, the priority here is still downwards, and downwards in order to accumulate longs. Downwards, not to short and wait for the market to fall to the 30,000 zone, I don't know. But to buy lower and accumulate long positions. Now, potentially, we can look here for some position on the breakout. Assume that we break this trend line. And then, most likely, it's the 86 zones. We break through, and here in the range of $90,000, you can look at Bitcoin. Close positions. But in my opinion, a much more reliable strategy in the current market is to look for longs, on the contrary, lower, in these lows. This is the $80,000 zone, and this is the 77-78 zone. Accordingly, these are the two key ones. $80,000 is generally local, and our key support zones are $78,000 and then $74,000. These are the two key long zones that, in my opinion, are the most interesting. Accordingly, I have orders set from $76,000. My last order was triggered at $77,000, as you remember. And actually, 76 wasn't touched. I published all this in the Telegram channel. It was last week, exactly a week ago, I think 8 days ago. So, accordingly, I am still in these positions. If we go lower, I will naturally average the positions. So, actually, we are also looking, yes, in parallel. Here we need to compare with the S&P 500 because, as I mentioned, in my opinion, there is a rather strong pattern here. There is. The S&P 500 is the same way. Yes, we bounced off the support zone, but above is the 200-day moving average. We can easily, for example, pull up to it or even not reach it. And actually fall below into the 5150, 5200 zone. What will happen to the alts at this moment? The picture here is ambiguous. On one hand, the alts have already been really sold off. And there is a chance that they won't drop significantly there. On the other hand, what does it mean not drop significantly? I think they can easily drop another 30%. For example, if we look at some of the big alts, this season we are showing on the pipe. Let's just see. What does it mean for the pipe? Minus 30%. Well, for Pepe, minus 30% fits perfectly right under this low. So, minus 30, 35% is exactly the zone we will reach. Let's mark it, just to make it clearer. Well, as they say, beyond that, only the stars. That is, it will be from the historical maximum. A correction of about 85%. Exactly 85. Imagine, a perfectly mathematical eye, 85%, but where else can it fall? Below that, there's only 0. That's why, on one hand, it seems like there's nowhere else to fall. On the other hand, another minus 30% can easily be reached with a drop in Bitcoin. The same goes for Ethereum. Actually, I can say the same about Ethereum. Well, I'm not saying anything at all about the fact that overall, we kind of don't have performance, right? And secondly, let's just take a look at these levels. From the current mark, perhaps minus 35% places Ethereum in the $1,200 zone. So, please, we will see Bitcoin at 63. Oh, then 70,000 accordingly, and Ethereum at 1,200 to 1,500. Please, right here, actually, we make a wish in this range. What happens next is the question. I thought everything would be fine, unless there is a severe recession. Actually, right now, these statements by Trump, yes, they are ambiguous. I will give more comments, guys. Before that, a small traditional reminder, if you are trading, always trade on a quality exchange. For me, a reliable partner for many years has been the Babbitt exchange. Therefore, if you don't have an account, I strongly advise you to register and try using my link, my promo code. Under this video, you'll find the most favorable commission conditions and up to $30,000 in bonuses. When making your first deposit, jump in and register. Now, let's move on, returning back. In any case, a huge thank you to everyone for the support, for every like, for every comment, and a special thanks to those trading with Mari Freeley links. This allows us to earn some money, to develop the community, create content, and so on to support the team. So, peace and respect to everyone. Regarding Trump, let's return to the topic. So what is the problem? On one hand, here's a very interesting piece of news. Yes, you remember Trump, his Liberty Fund. In fact, they earned $390 million by selling their tokens, while also attracting another 550. And in fact, they plan to buy XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on, which is interesting. It means they were selling, which again can be said to be good. So it's beneficial for them to spread some negative news right now. These are all conspiracy theories. We're just speculating in order to buy back at a lower price. They have $1 billion, they buy back the market with $1 billion, it grows by 3, they sell perfectly, everyone is happy, everything is good for everyone. Such a nuance, and Trump is very radical in his statements. I'm not even talking about trade wars and so on, but about his statements, for example, regarding the recession. So on one day they tell us there will be no recession, everything is clear. The next day they tell us everything is doomed. Accordingly, no one is saying that there won't be a recession. So, and perhaps the saddest thing that could potentially happen is a situation where we fall and somehow a recession begins. That is, all the time they told us there won't be a recession, there won't be. Then we might end up with something very unpleasant and prolonged. Moreover, by the way, do you know what's most interesting? For example, when I talk about a decline, say, into this range, we somehow tend to think it will happen like this. That is, like this, we touch it, and like this. That is, I admit that this whole situation might stretch out much longer. For example, until half a year, we might be falling like this. How long did this movement last, for example? Let's take a look. This sideways movement, 182 days. Half a year. So, essentially, assuming the same scenario, we might be falling here for half a year. For example, from here, 108 days. There, drew it perfectly. Look, today my eye is like a diamond. We'll be falling for half a year. Then we'll continue, wandering around here for some time. And only by the beginning of 2026 will the cycle continue. This is the scenario I consider possible, and essentially, this is what we have, etc. Well, yes, essentially, all-time high. All-time high in a year. For example, I also keep such a picture in my mind. Therefore, I don't think there's a chance that everything will happen quickly, but I would prepare for it. So even if you are building positions, for example, imagine that. Suppose Bitcoin drops from the current level to here. That would be a 25% decrease. Are you ready to endure a 25% drop? Enduring this 25% drop over a year or a year and a half is no problem. If not, perhaps it's worth reducing the risks a bit, and then in case I'm wrong. For example, if Bitcoin drops and then quickly starts performing well, it's better to build up the position pyramid style and everything will be okay. That's roughly what remains for us to observe and wait for, my dear ones. All you need to know today is how to gain the maximum profit in the market. Turn on the channel notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. And of course, every like and every comment is very important to me, especially under the current conditions of YouTube's algorithm blocking all these new ones. So don't be lazy, do me a favor and go in, give a like, write any comment about what you liked or didn't like, share any opinion in the comments. It will be very helpful for me. Thank you all very much, and see you next time.